Penguin Random House Audio presents The Faraway Brothers, Two Young Migrants and the Making of an American Life, by Lauren Markham. Read for you by Cassandra Campbell. Long and white, the road twists like a snake toward the far-off blue places, toward the bright edges of the earth. Isabel Eberhard. War gathers everything under its black wings. Ryszard Kapuscinski. Author's note. In the winter of 2013, I received an assignment from the Virginia Quarterly Review, VQR, to travel to South Texas and write about the recent uptick in immigration by unaccompanied minors and what happened to them once they'd made it into the United States. These were children, mostly from Central America, who had crossed the border without papers or parents. I spent that spring reporting the story, digging into the massive infrastructure of apprehending, detaining, caring for, and litigating the cases of these thousands of young migrants who, that year, more than tripled their historical annual average. The article, First the Fence, Then the System, came out that June. Since 2006, I'd been working with refugees and immigrants in Oakland, California, at various nonprofit agencies, and then the Oakland School District. In 2011, I started working at Oakland International High School, a school for newly arrived English language learners, where I coordinated programs for students and families, such as parent classes, after-school programs, and health and mental health services. Our school had enrolled a few unaccompanied minors over the years, but I understood little about their circumstances, and even less about their experiences navigating the immigration system. In the VQR story, I had focused on the children who were caught, but I soon found myself chasing another story. What happened to the children who weren't caught? My story on the growing number of unaccompanied minors working in the California agricultural system, The Lost Boys of California, was published in Vice in March 2014. Just as I was filing the first draft, Mr. David, a co-worker at Oakland International, came into my office to tell me that we really need to do something about all the kids with upcoming court dates. What? He explained that a number of our new 9th and 10th graders had been ordered to appear in immigration court in the coming months. The students, who were undocumented and had been apprehended by the authorities after crossing the U.S. border, were almost universally unaccompanied minors or unaccompanied alien children. They had all been ordered deported and would have to fight in court for the right to stay. They were terrified of court. None of the students David had spoken to had a lawyer. Of the 25 or so students he advised, 7 were unaccompanied minors. While I had been away reporting on the issue outside Oakland, this population had been surging at my school, the place where I spent 4 days a week, right under my nose. By spring of 2014, more than 60 unaccompanied minors had enrolled at Oakland International High School, out of a student body of just under 400. By the following fall, the number surpassed 90. Today, in 2017, unaccompanied minors make up over a quarter of Oakland International's student population. After my conversation with David, I spent many an afternoon shepherding kids to pro bono legal agencies and court dates and setting up intake appointments and Know Your Rights information sessions at the school. The students needed counseling and tutoring and doctor's appointments. Some of them needed help finding homeless shelters and access to food and clothing. Supporting unaccompanied minors quickly became one of my primary responsibilities. In February 2014, I met the Flores twins. To protect the anonymity of the Flores family, I have changed their names and those of many others who appear in this book, as well as the name of their hometown. They told me why they had come, but I had so many more questions. What were these children really risking and enduring to come here? And what was the likelihood they would gain the right to stay? Would they really be better off if they did? Were the stories I was hearing overblown, And could I take their reasons for coming to the United States at face value? Answering these questions became a personal imperative, one that would help me better understand my students, my country, and the endless churn of Southern migration into the United States. To learn more about the Flores family's story, and that of the hundreds of thousands of migrants like them, I traveled to El Salvador, Mexico, Guatemala, and Texas, reporting from various fulcrums of violence in El Salvador, as well as at stations along the migrant trail north. Parts of this book I witnessed myself, and other parts have been reconstructed through extensive reporting and interviews, all in service of investigating the changing dynamics of migration. Since reporting that first article for VQR, I have heard countless stories from young people traveling alone to reach the United States. Every story is different, but there are also striking similarities, often having to do with mounting violence in the children's home countries. These girls and boys are crossing into the United States in search of the fabled better life that has attracted migrants, authorized and unauthorized, since before the Mayflower landed. But in the Northern Triangle, Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, a better life for many means a life where they are not afraid of being killed. I began reporting this book during the Obama administration, a time rife with anxiety for undocumented migrants. It was completed after the election of Donald Trump, marking an era of unprecedented fear among immigrants and refugees past and present. In a time when immigration is in the daily headlines, yet is too often reduced to a matter of binary politics, keep them out or let them in, wall or no wall, this book seeks to offer a complex understanding of why immigrants leave their country, what struggles they endure to get here, and the challenges they face setting roots in a foreign land. The story of the Flores twins isn't the most harrowing, or the most unjust, or the most extraordinary I've come across as an educator and a journalist. Far from it. But something in their story illustrates, roundly and heartbreakingly, the wounds of war, the spirit of a new generation of immigrants, and the impact of migration on the United States as well as on the tiny, time-battered country of El Salvador. The United States is still young and is ever reiterating itself as demanded by its people, both those who have lived here for a long time and those who have just arrived. Immigrants have always shaped our country's future. Young Central Americans are coming here in unprecedented numbers, and how they are or are not received and supported will determine, in part, the next chapter in the American story. For a child to choose to make that journey, an advocate told me during my first trip to South Texas, there's a reason. Since 2012, hundreds of thousands of minors, paperless and parentless, have crossed into the United States. Why are they coming, and why so many? I wrote in my first piece on unaccompanied minors. It was an earnest question. Every answer raised another question, and the result is this book. It is about who these young men and women are, where they come from, the choices they've made, and what their stories reveal about who we are as a country and what we will, or might, become. Prologue. It's a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and the Flores twins are buckled into the back seat of Wilbur's Toyota, lurching through downtown San Francisco in search of the courthouse. As their older brother breaks and curses his way through the flurry and gridlock of the morning commute, the twins' identical faces press against the windows, hunting for street names and building numbers. They are lost. Their messy packet of immigration papers states the courthouse address, 100 Montgomery Street, and the time they've been ordered to appear, February 19th, 2014 at 10 a.m. Sharp, they remind themselves. Every appointment in America, they have learned, is expected to be on time, en punto, sharp. A counselor at the Texas Detention Center had explained this to them, and Wilbur has too. This morning, they'd left the apartment with a 2-hour window.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?